Well, the Bay Area has seen a lot of protests in the past several months, and many times we see a group of people who wear black to cover their faces.
They're known as Antifa, and they're also known for being violent against other protesters and law enforcement. Antifa is short for anti-fascism, and tonight, senior investigative reporter Vicki Wynn takes us behind the mask.
Jess and Raj, tonight we'll introduce you to some of the people who call themselves Antifa. They tell us what they want and why they think they need violence to get it. From Berkeley to Charlottesville, a growing political movement making its presence and tactics clear.
We attack people who stand for white supremacy.
Oh,
that's
so you attack somebody?
Absolutely.
Antifa, short for anti-fascist, has become synonymous with attacks that include property destruction, weaponry, and countless street fights. A masked army warring against hate speech and what they call a corrupted American dream.
We kind of realize that the system is rigged against us and that we need to do something about it.
Daniel, who asked us not to use his last name, is 19 years old, a sophomore in college majoring in political science. In his dorm room, he reads history and writes political papers. He's convinced the American people have been duped by false promises.
We've been told throughout our lives that, America's greatest country. We just have to follow the American dream, working hard, and then things will be all right. This future is never materialized.
He agreed to reveal his face.
Are you ready to take the mask off?
And speak openly about why he's active with Antifa.
What is it that Antifa wants to accomplish?
The goal of building a better and more egalitarian society where everyone, has a future.
But if it takes violence to build that future, Daniel says Antifa is ready.
You cannot rationally debate fascism. If someone cannot be rationally debated, you have no other choice but to use a show of force against them.
Fascism is usually associated with Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, dictators who focused on national strength and a master race and used force to put down opponents.
No peace.
It's unclear how many people are part of Antifa because it's not organized with a leader or members. Demonstrators use social media to mobilize. Last month, Berkeley Mayor Jesse Adeguin said Antifa should be treated as a gang. We wanted to ask the mayor about his position, but he wouldn't agree to an interview. So we caught up with him at City Hall. With NBC Bay Area, do you have a couple minutes for us?
I don't. We have to call our city council.
Why do you think Antifa should be considered a gang, sir? Sir,
I commented on that issue.
can you tell us, are you backing off that statement now?
No one gets to use violence. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable.
Jonathan Roth protested on the Berkeley campus in the 70s. Today, the Fulbright scholar teaches history at San Jose State and studies anti-fascist groups. He believes both Antifa and fascists are fringe groups with fewer than 10,000 followers.
Well, what's wrong with their protests against hate speech and discrimination?
I would love them to go out and protest against hate speech. Right? Hate speech is a bad thing. But insofar as they use violence, they're thugs.
What else is Antifa doing besides what we see during protests?
Daniel and his friend Victor invited us to follow them early on a Sunday morning as they bagged lunches for the homeless in Oakland.
I usually focus more on community service than I do actually being militant on the streets.
But the battle in the streets is still what most people see as Antifa.
We don't think fascism deserves free speech.
Bonnie says she's been harassed for being transgender. She says she demonstrates to take a stand against hate speech now before it becomes accepted ideology later.
You give a platform to fascism, they will kill you. So we want to shut that down before we get killed.
Who elected Antifa? Suddenly the deciders of who's fascist or not. So they can decide it, and they can march around, and they can yell and scream. They can't beat people up.
Anti-fascism is not just violence, it's also building communities and building solidarity with one another. Because when you build solidarity in communities, there's no need for anyone to hate you.
Daniel vows to keep fighting with his pen and with his body if necessary. While Free Speech Week activities are canceled, police are still watching social media as impromptu events continue to pop up. Antifa activists say as long as people are out to spread hate speech, they'll be out to protest. Jess and Raj,